Good morning, my wonderful listeners, and welcome to another episode of The Endless Mindset. I keep want to say How Did You Show, because it's the podcast we used to have, but it's been rebranded recently, and I keep thinking about the old name. So no, we are recording The Endless Mindset podcast today. It's been maybe a couple of months now I haven't recorded a new episode, and I really missed my show, so I'm really glad to be back. And as always, I'm trying to always cover different topics and bring you very interesting people. And today there's no exception. I'm bringing you wonderful Latoya McDonald on the show, who is such a busy bee and does so many things. So instead of me telling you what she does, I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you all about what she does in her busy life. So hello, Latoya, and welcome to the show.
Hi, yeah, thank you very much for having me. I feel very privileged to be on here. I've been listening to your podcast, so it's very exciting. It's like a weird thing in this property world when you go on podcasts or you meet people at networking events and you're like, oh, this is quite exciting because it's real life.
Yeah.
so it's quite interesting, really. So I'm based down in Cornwall, but people probably don't recognise my Cornish accent, so I am from New Zealand.
Yep.
I'm based down in Cornwall. I've got a letting agency down here, but I haven't always had the letting agency. So when I moved to the country, I did rent to rent. I did lease options, and then that kind of went on to the letting agency, and we also have our own property portfolio down here, and we've done service accommodation as well. And I run some property networking events in Cornwall as well. So that's a little bit about me. And now I'm also working with other property people to help them with their businesses. So I'm very passionate about what I call the back end systems of the business. So I could probably easily go into teaching people, how to manage HMOs or how to do rent to rent or service accommodation. But for me, the exciting bit is the systems and the procedures. So that's me. That's what I do.
You are such a busy bee. I said exactly. It's like, what's the point of trying to introduce you with what you do? It's like there's so many things. I'll let her explain everybody what she does.
Basically, property.
Basically, property. Everything was possible in a property. She does it.
Exactly.
Well, we actually met online, as most of the people we do, especially these days. And so we met online, but we met through podcasts. Like the topic was actually podcast. Now, when we actually first time linked properly. So, can you tell us? As I know, we may be jumping far ahead, but just you've started a podcast because what you just said, that you love helping people, how to set up processes in place, etc. So can you just tell us a little bit about your podcast or what you talk about in your podcast?
Yeah, I mean, it seems very probably corny to say, but I love podcasts. I'm a massive lover of them because for me, I'm a solo entrepreneur working on my own all the time, and I find I like to learn about new things, but I also love to learn things about my own topics that I'm interested in. So, your podcast, I think we all have Diary of a CEO on our podcast list as well. Rob Moore, all sorts like that. I just love to have in my ear and get those nuggets. And I think, and it's also quite motivating as well. And I always dreamed of having my own podcast and being that, but for my people. So like they can put it in the air and be like, systems or procedures, get them excited about it. So I think it's 10 episodes in now, so it's very early days for the podcast, but I hope that for the people that listen to it, that when they put it in their ear, they're getting some good nuggets, positivity, and they feel like, I can implement that into my business today. I can get action today. So that's what I want for it. So, yeah.
What's the name of your podcast?
It's Outsourcing Your Property Business.
Nice. So I assume you're talking all about, for the guests, for the listeners, So from the name, they can assume it's all about outsourcing in the property world, how you can outsource everything in the property world, yeah?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Okay. So it is, for me, it's systems, procedures, automation, outsourcing. Those key things there. It's the key to happiness. It's the key.
Look how happy you are. Always smiling.
Yeah.
Even just before you come off even before you jump on the podcast, you just come off the phone call with a landlord, any challenge comes on, you still come with a smile on your face, no matter what happens.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Really. So, now tell us a bit more about how you started in property.
Yeah, so it's a long time ago.
How everything started, yeah.
So I think for me, I did another podcast interview about this, and I hadn't really thought about it. It kind of put me on the spot, so I've had time now to think about it. But so I grew up low income family, and no talk about property or even buying a home. It just wasn't a thing. And pretty poor education as well. But when I would say about maybe 14, 15, 16, around that age, my auntie was working in real estate. And she was doing pretty well for herself. She was like, separated from her husband, and they had a nice home, and she was doing pretty well for herself. And I was like, you get to that age, we're like, why does that family look different from my family? And those kinds of thoughts. So when I left school and I was working a basic job, I quickly realized that and my partner at the time, he was doing a BCom degree. So he came from a very well-to-do family. So I was looking at that as well. And I was like, gosh, how am I going to earn that kind of money? How am I going to, I just started, all these things were floating around in my head. And so I decided that I would go into real estate. But it was just like nobody wanted me. To give you an idea, in New Zealand, I mean, even when I was at the height of selling real estate, there was still only 5 of us in the city under 30 selling real estate, and a population the size of Cornwall. So that's to give you an idea of, like going into real estate, people were at that age.
Yeah.
People are a bit like, what's this teenager doing? So,
Yeah.
so I ended up having to take a job.
Discrimination.
Yeah, it's naivety, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, I was just excited, young and enthusiastic. So I ended up taking a job in a reception. So in New Zealand, when you go into a real estate office, you have a dedicated reception admin team. It's absolutely lovely over there. But so I got a job doing that, and I only just managed to get the job. So it was actually temping, doing temporary work. And I went from there to another company because I really did have to prove to this agency that I was working for, because they did temporary work, but they also placed people. So I had to prove that I would be better than anyone else who had an education and had qualifications at, administration and all that stuff. I had to prove it, because there was no other way. I didn't have any, certificates or anything. So, and eventually I got a temping job at this investment firm, real estate, selling investment properties, and they decided that they would keep me on. So that was me in. I was in then. so
what a moment. Woohoo!
So yeah, and from there I went on and did in New Zealand you have to do a real estate license to sell real estate. Pretty basic, to be honest, but it's something. And then you have ongoing qualifications that you have to do, like box ticking, to make sure that you are competent to sell real estate. And I also did my commercial papers, which was probably the biggest thing that I did over there, because it was like a degree. Bearing in mind I hadn't made it at school, so it was quite a lot. But I had my the owner of the business that helped me through that. So yeah, I was very, very lucky. So that is the beginning of the real estate.
Wow. And that was obviously, as you said, back home. So that was
yeah.
And then when did you move to the UK? How did your journey started here then? Because I just wondering what is the difference as well, that there's got to be a difference as well in the rules, in the laws, etc.
Yes.
So you started back then when you were still in 20s and in a very and in different country. So now you came to the UK. When was that?
So I came in December 2010. Very dark and wintry. I turned up in my jandals and some shorts, and I was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" So
it
was not good, not smart.
Cold and wet. Not even the snow.
It really was. Yeah, it was. But my partner's from Cornwall, UK, so it's not really that random. And also people always say to me, "Oh wow, that was so brave of you to move on." It's like, well, I had a roof over my head, and I had food, and it's not like I was like, escaping from anything. It was pretty good. So, but the whole reason that I did end up moving here was we had some earthquakes in Christchurch, And selling real estate, like you said, is very different, and it's 100% commission. So if you do not sell a property, you will starve to death.
Oh
End of.
wow.
So yeah, it was
Wow.
pretty,
So it's a
pretty
commission
shocking.
only that was back home, yeah.
Yeah, 100% commission, and that's normal. It's an American system. You know, you've got it in New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. It's normal. It wasn't until I came over here and I got a job on the high street, because like you said, you know, I couldn't walk around talking about real estate and, you know, different terminology that we use. So I got into a high street estate and letting agency job to learn the lingo and to learn your property ways and all of that stuff. But yeah, I thought it was a joke at the interview that they wanted to pay me. I was like, well, you're going to pay me to sit down? And they were like, well, yeah, that's what we, and I just couldn't get through my brain. I went home
Like,
to my
it's a job.
yeah, I was like, they're going to pay me. I hadn't had a paying job probably since I'd worked in a nightclub. Like, it was just years ago. I was like, whoa, they're going to pay me. This is crazy. So yeah, it was quite
That's crazy. What countries is England? It's different. They drive on the other side. They have a different electric plant. They're paying for jobs.
Oh, funny. Oh, it cracks me up. So yeah, so but I tell you, I did not last long there at all in that paying job. So yeah, it was not good. But while I was there, I learned about rent to rent. I learned about lease options. I was sending out letters. I was in my lunch break. I was in the car doing phone calls. I literally just I used the job. That's what I did. I used it.
Right. So that was, and as you said, so that was big difference for you to not just being paid, but did you actually like learn a lot as well about like the different rules and regulations and things like that? Was that different as well? Like,
not really, because you know, I hope I don't offend anyone by saying this, but in this country, things take a long time, you know, for the sales process and everything. In New Zealand, you know, I wanted to get paid within 15 working days. So, you know, from you agreeing to buy the property to me getting paid at the completion could be 15 working days.
yeah,
You know, so it's very quick over there. So it's very slow here. So it's easy to
that's
you know,
why you need to get paid. Because if you would wait for the sales commission, you're hungry.
Oh, mate, honestly. But yeah, so it's and also I did take so we have in Cornwall, I'm sure it's in other towns as well, or other counties, we have government funding here for people who want to learn about business and limited companies, all that the government actually provide it. So I got involved in that quite a lot to learn about company structures, because in New Zealand it is normal to buy in a limited company. We all bought in limited companies, and it's a real job. So when you go to the bank and you say, I'm a property investor, I want some money, please. They go, oh, come into the office. Let's get you some money. Whereas here, they're like, oh, you're self-employed. You don't have a job.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, huge difference. And then, so how long until you started your own business then? Because as you said, you started employed, and then how long did you until you realized, you know what, I want to do it myself?
Yeah, so the actual date was August 2012. That's when the company started. And I already had my first rent to rent when I actually did the course. So I already had that lined up. It's quite an interesting story. I did rent to rent on rent to rent, so a Northwood property. I did rent to rent on that. So
wow.
yeah, exactly. It's honestly, I reckon, I know I shouldn't, you know, I don't want this to discourage people, but I do feel that I had rent to rent in a very good time. You know, again, it comes back to that young naivety. I thought everyone likes me. They're giving me all these properties. They didn't like me. They just didn't know what to do with these older, rundown big houses.
They didn't like me.
It was like the Northwood guy was like, I've got another property for you. Come here.
Love that. Yeah. They didn't like me. They just didn't know what to do.
I don't think I think they thought, do you know what? It can't get any worse. So give this girl the keys. Let her renovate them. Let her make some money.
Let her be responsible.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was it, really. So so rent to rent really blew up for me, and we were making very good money out of it. It allowed us to buy the first few properties, and then I would say about year 3, we were getting a lot more interest from people asking us to manage their properties, in particular HMOs. And I thought, you know what, that's great. I want some more money. That would be good. I'd like to do some other things with the business. And I do a lot with like I call it my charity work. I do a lot with local businesses, with networking and that sort of thing. So it allowed me to spend more on that and spend more time on it. So it was great. It suited me at the time. And then eventually it just, we did a rebrand and we became a lettings and estate agent, just a lettings and property management business. So yeah.
Wow, just like this. Poof. Amazing.
With some long hours, I can tell you that.
Oh, I bet that was just pure sarcasm. So just like this, because yeah,
exactly. That's what it looked like.
So much work, obviously. And did you need to do any extra studies in the UK? Some people, they say that if you're doing like estate agents in the UK, you do need extra, like, or you should, or I don't know.
Linker.
I don't know. I don't have agency, so I don't know.
I signed up for this course, right? For this lettings and property management course. And I got the folder and all the documents, and then I put it in the bin. I looked through it and I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, it was just so basic. I didn't do the course. I just binned it. You know, for me,
nice.
You know, I've been doing property. You know, I'd had my own portfolio back home. I've been doing property for a long time. I knew how to treat people. I knew how to do things properly. I knew how important it is. I mean, if you kind of see the happy side of me, but outside of work, like every day I'm like, right, we need to, you know, everything needs to be done for if we go to court.
Good. Yeah. Because
So
like, as my boyfriend always says, you play chess, not checkers. So
Ah.
you always have to think. So I love that. So it's like when you're doing something, you're always preparing for. So if
Yes.
you do something, they do something, what do I do? So what is possibility of outcome of what I do now, of what people can come back to me, whatever you do. So kind of, he always says that I play chess, not checkers. And I love that. So as you said, that you're always playing, you're preparing for the worst. Like, yeah, I prepared it. What if something like that happens?
Yeah. And there was nothing in that, you know, that course that they give out to people. I thought that's just, you know, I was not happy with it. I'm not taking away from other agents who have done that, because I have a colleague in my business and she has all her papers and she does all the courses. She's very good. I like to, you know, I'm like I'm the debt collector.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just very interesting.
Nice.
But I think as well, like, you know, again, I'm not trying to be rude to the high street, but you know, we were managing properties on this high street office, and I would not give them my properties at all, ever.
Mm-hmm.
Ever, you know, so for me, even though I've not got a certificate here to manage properties, and I've not got this, I know how I would want my own portfolio baby to be managed, and I do everyone else's like that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Wow. As I said, there's a lot going on, and you also done a quite short period of time. If I listen to the dates correctly, you came to UK 2010 and you had the agency by 2012. So see, like this. Probably no sleep, probably 7 days a week working, but
it really was. And I think, you know, it's you know, I was very dedicated, and also I'd made the decision that I wouldn't go back to New Zealand, because I knew I don't know how you feel, you know, for your own circumstances, but for me, you know, I didn't leave my country because I fell out of love with it or I didn't love it. I'm deeply in love with New Zealand. I you know, it's me, you know, everything about it. And so I knew when I came here, I had to not go back for a set period of time. And so, you know, that gave me focus in the business, because I knew I wasn't going there, gave me focus. And we've got no children. And, you know, I really wanted to get that business off the ground. So yeah, it was an investment of time, but yeah, it was good.
Amazing. And that 2012, that's now 10 years ago. Hold on.
It's donkeys years ago.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's been 10 years now. And the time flies very quickly. When did you start doing the property events and talks and things like that?
Yeah, so in those early days, I actually used to help out on the rent-to-rent training. So I used to help teaching people. So I did that. I spoke at Super Conference with you know, I think it's called Masopi now, isn't it? But that was with Progressive.
Property income.
Yeah. So I did that, and then I've just kind of been doing stuff for a while. I did go off the scene for a period. I just felt like it was very overwhelming. I don't know if you get this when you're out there in the public and the messages you get, and the constant asking for information all the time, it can be quite draining, especially when you're trying to build your empire and achieve your goals. So I did have to come out of it for a while because it was absolutely exhausting. And I do take things like quite maybe quite to heart, you know, if people are really struggling. And so I just came out of it just to get things a bit more focused on my own side. So
No, but if you and you're also doing the PIC, which is the property, what does the PIC stands for?
So I did that. So professional investment group. So I did that this year, and it's been amazing. I've met some pretty cool people out of it.
I've been once, but I don't think I met you there then. If we did meet and we don't even know about it,
did you go to Plymouth?
No, the one in Truro.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you go to Dan's? Was it Dan?
Dan, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I took over from Dan. So I did it this year.
Oh, I need to come and see you then.
That'd be good. It would be good. Yeah. So I do that, and I did the another one for businesses and property. So property construction and trade. So that is Cornish businesses involved in that. So it could be like building suppliers, or we have a lot of architects as well, so we all just get together and network and give each other business, and not in a creepy way. I think I've been to some business networking before, and I'm like, it's creepy. Like, they're like, who have you given business to? It's like, oh god. So this is a friendly business networking that I do. It's like, it's
friend zone, good vibe.
Yeah. It's a very nice vibe, not creepy at all.
It's like, we are friends here. It's not a competition anywhere. We are friends.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's very good. It's very good.
Wonderful. Now, so you with your podcast, obviously, so is that your no, let me ask this way. What is your main strategy at the moment, or what's your biggest passion at the moment with everything you do? Is that your outsourcing business or outsourcing podcast, or your portfolio? What is the main thing is makes you the happiest at the moment? Or?
So the letting agency is day-to-day running is all sorted, so that's all fine. It ticks along lovely.
All outsourced?
Yes, so that's all. It's got a team member that's got outsourcing, and so that's all set up and running lovely, so that's good. And just being selfish, really, that letting agency really was to manage my own portfolio the way that I wanted it, with the marketing that I wanted. So although it does a fantastic job for other people, it's there for my portfolio as well. So that's what it's there to do. And then I split my time between outsourcing your property business and growing mine and my partner's portfolio. So that's what we're doing. So that's it. So it's really just focusing on that. For me, I don't want property people to struggle with their business. It's a lot to do, when you take in I was just speaking to somebody the other day who's got a decent sized portfolio, and they still do their own bookkeeping and tax. I'm like, did you go on holiday? Like, I was like, because otherwise you have to plan your holidays around all that. I've got nothing against people doing it themselves, but I like to think of things as low hourly rate tasks and high hourly rate tasks, so the money making tasks, and that's how I break down my day and make sure that I'm focusing on those set tasks that I should be. If I'm not saying low hourly rate tasks aren't important, because they are, but you've got to start. If you start thinking like that, you soon go, well, I could make more money doing this, or I could make more money buying 2 properties this year than what I could do, chasing a tradesman, dropping off keys and doing a contract and dealing with tenant dramas, that kind of thing. So, and I think we wear a lot of hats when we get into property. A lot. And you do come to a point where you either go, do you know what, I've got 5 properties, it's enough, or you go, actually I want to grow bigger, but in order to scale I cannot continue doing all of these tasks. And you just reach a point eventually where something's got to give. It's
like they call it, if you don't learn to let go, you'll never can grow. Like, you can't grow if you don't let go, if you don't learn to let go. So loads of people, they as you said, they're stuck in that little, like, it could be fine for some, but if someone genuinely wants to scale or they want to do something else, you need to start letting things go. outsource this, outsource that, let that go off your desk. And that is and it's Rob Small saying, and I love it so much, that you are obviously you're obviously applying that in your business as well. So that's why now you feel more comfortable as well, like you're you know what, I can tell others, I can share this with others. So are you doing it as your podcast, or are you planning to also be like teaching it, or what is your plan with your outsourcing?
So I will have a program which is going to be released in February. So the podcast and the content that I create for social media, that's free content, and you can implement that. But, you know, if you do it, you will get, you know, something good from it. But for people that really just want to go from here to there, you know, and have it all done and know right at the end of this month I'm done, the business is all sorted and I can move on to something else, that's what the program will be for. There will be some one-to-one coaching as well, but yeah, I'm planning on taking people from point zero to point, you know, wherever it is that we need to get them to within that set time. So that's how my brain works. I like to have a deadline for things, and
Nice. So you're going to be offering different packages as well, or so? But let's say someone, as you said, start from zero to somewhere, or as you said, so let's say someone will be like, I already have outsourced this and this, and I just don't know where to go next from there. So, I'm just kind of for the listeners, like if someone is in,
I think. So for next year, I really want to focus on the 8-week program. So the 8-week program is taking people from where they are now to being at the end, with everything being all systemized, you know, procedures done and outsourcing all done. So within the 8 weeks, and then anything outside of that, depending on time wise, will be one-on-one coaching. But next year, I really want to focus on that 8 weeks, because I think that's what, you know, 8 weeks is enough investment for you to get everything sorted and then be away then, and you'll still get support from me, but I think it's having that 8 weeks to getting it done and dusted, and you just knuckle down, don't you? Because when I started, I thought, it'll take me a few months, maybe 6 months to get everything done, and honestly it probably took me about 2 years, just because I was trying to run the business, do everything, hire staff, get rid of staff leaving, all of that stuff, and it just didn't get done because I just had everything else. So I think if I pin people down for 8 weeks, knuckle down with them, get it done, you know, everyone will be happier for it.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I can't wait for you to release this and watch your journey just fly. With your new venture, that's the new venture, just fly high.
Amazing. Thank you.
Latoya, what would be like the advice you would give to yourself if you will start again? Like, what is that sort of biggest things you've learned so far with every experience you got, with everything? If you would start again now, could it be something to do with outsourcing? Could be anything. But what would you be like? You know what? If someone would be in my position right now, I would say.
I think definitely. So I like you were talking before about, you know, the people not letting go. I call that self-employed syndrome. Because you're just constantly doing all of it yourself, and you think you're saving yourself money, but you're not. So I would say if you're in that position and you're thinking, I'll just get another property on, then I can afford this, or no, do the outsourcing and give yourself the time back to go and make the money. So I would say that. I would also say maybe to my younger self to not be so like maybe take a little bit more risk. I'm very like not negative, but I'm very like, I always analyze things, and you know, like I'm not a massive risk taker, which is why I don't always use the entrepreneurial word for myself, but I'm not a massive risk taker, so it's amazing I've got to where I am, really. But I think I would tell my younger self, be a bit more, take a bit more risk. So
take a little bit more risk. Wow, amazing. And also I like kind of asking people as well, like, what would be like the first, what would be like the top 3 tips from Latoya to listeners from, again, it could be from your outsourcing or from the property in general, what it could be like the top 3 tips from Latoya?
So I think firstly, I'm going to be a bit mean now. If you are managing or moving on to managing other people's properties, please do not be tight in this area. You know, you need to prepare yourself that you're managing for somebody else. If you have to go to court, you better have everything in order. So don't scrimp on management software. Do it properly. If you're doing it for yourself, do what you want. But if you're managing for other people, don't be tight. Spend the money on proper, systems and management software and that sort of thing. I also think when you're setting up your property business, I think a lot of people think, I've only got 3 or 4 properties. I don't need this and I don't need that and I'll be fine. You need to start thinking, a lot of people banter this word around called legacy. Well, if you are, so for me in my life, I am the property person. I have all the logins. I've got everything. I run the show. So, it would be unfair for me not to have systems and procedures in place, because if I die tomorrow, someone's got to access it. Someone's got to step in. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter how many properties you've got, sort it out, get it all systemized, get procedures in there, get everything ready so that somebody can step into your shoes, leave a proper legacy, don't leave a mess.
Mm-hmm. So nice. That's a very beautiful way of saying. I love that. Yeah, leave a proper legacy, not a mess.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm like very Kiwi, so I can be a little direct. So when people are like, I've only got 3 properties, it doesn't matter. I'm like, oh, here we go, right. Let
me start. Have a coffee. Get yourself a coffee and let's start have a little chat.
Yeah, exactly. So whereas I guess other people be like, oh, okay, not me. I'm like, right, let's get this conversation out.
Yeah, amazing. The thing is that I completely agree. Like I have at the moment only SA portfolio, but I always said that even if you just have one property, you need to have something like channel manager, because you're using, let's say, a few OTAs. For those who don't know, OTAs, online travel agents, and you get a booking on Airbnb, and if it's not linked to channel manager, so nothing blocks your booking.com, you can get a double booking on booking.com. Then you get penalties from OTAs, you can bad reviews and all this. So what's the point of stressing? Just get yourself a system in from the beginning, even if you just have one. Makes the life not only easier but more organized, and you can get less cancellations, less unhappy guests and things like that. So how many times you would have to cancel the bookings and things like that, instead of, because they can overlay or whatever, even if it's just a lottery or something, if there is a system in place. So I agree.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely, yeah, definitely. I think if people just take one thing away, it's like just get something set up, even if you've, like you say, only got one property, sort it out, because if anything happens to you tomorrow, somebody's got to run that business, keep that money coming in.
Run the show, exactly. Latoya, do you read books, or do you listen to books, or it's just podcasts you're into?
Just podcasts, really. I used to be a big book person, but yeah.
I always ask guests to give us a book recommendation. However, if you don't really read or listen to books, what podcast would you recommend to listen to?
I will tell you one that I absolutely love. So it is
called The Endless Podcast, The Endless Mindset.
Number one, yes. And then I've got another one. Let me find it so I can give you the correct name. It is. Where is it? So I listen to Working Hard, Hardly Working, and it's a lady called Grace Beverly. I've actually been following her for years. She started out on YouTube and she used to do Gymshark stuff. She was like one of those YouTube fitness people. And but she used to talk a lot about business, and I thought, it's quite interesting, young woman talking about this. And she's got some amazing stuff on her podcast about funding, getting money in for your business, all of that kind of stuff, which no one really talks about. Pitch decks. I didn't know what a pitch deck was until I started listening to a podcast. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, pitch. I got to say this properly. Pitch deck.
Oh, wow.
Like, the DE. I'm probably not saying this right. It's my bloody accent.
I love the way you're saying it. I think everybody should say it like you say it. I think we should change that in the dictionary's pronunciation of this word.
Oh, yeah. Loads of people are just like, what's right now? So, yes, I've got hers. And what's another one that I can... I think there's probably the most... obviously, I listen to Mel Robbins, Diary of a CEO. But yeah, I think that one there is probably the most interesting that she comes up with. Her interviews are amazing.
Oh, that's a wonderful recommendation, Latoya. Thank you so much. And very refreshing as well, because we didn't have a podcast recommendations yet, I don't think. And you are the 33rd episode, I think. So yeah, that's very refreshing. That's awesome. Also, I always ask my guests any recommendations for anything to watch. If you wanna, some people recommend something relaxing, some people recommend something educational. So it's up to you, but something you would be like, guys, watch this.
What have we watched recently? I think something that there was a show called Undercover Billionaire, which I think we watched on Amazon. This is going back years ago. Watch the first one. I think the second one, I don't think it's, and the one with Grant Cardone, even though I love it, I don't think it was as, when something comes out first, the first of anything, it's always
you
been
tend
watch
to
first
be
one. So
better, yeah.
yeah, so if you watch the first ever Undercover Billionaire, I think that is quite an interesting one to watch. The reason why I liked that is because he was the first one to. It's just amazing watching someone be stripped of everything and starting again, but they could easily go back home to the warmth, the food, the money, the plane, everything. But yeah, so I think that's a really good show.
Everything.
Yeah,
the
so
food,
I think,
the plane.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that was quite interesting, and I thought it was quite good. And if you do watch the second Undercover Billionaire that came out, I think the girls actually did very well. Have you seen it? It's got Grant Cardone and two other ladies in the second one. I thought, yeah, I don't want to give too much away, but I really thought, I was like, oh, Grant Cardone's going to smash this, but the girls, they really were amazing. So yeah, so I think that's quite good. What else do I watch? So something for a bit of fun. We watched recently, I think it's called Pepsi I Want My Jet. And
I finished it yesterday. I love that you call this fun. Because I'm the same. I love documentaries and things like that. For me, that's what makes me happy. But lots of people will be like, Pepsi, where's my jet? That's more like a learning documentary type. And I was like, yeah, it's fun.
It's, oh my God, I love it.
Well. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I loved
it. For me, Netflix documentaries, the last, they've really come out with some amazing stuff. I mean, we love documentaries on there. That's really good. If you haven't got Netflix, have a look at somebody else's. There's so many documentaries on there for business, for planet, for animals, all sorts. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a very much a documentary freak as well. I never forget when I would start meeting Andy's friends, and friends were like, Lenka, so what are you watching? And I was like, well, documentaries. Everybody were like, you're weird. It's like people expecting me, like, I don't know what they call the island thing.
You're thinking of Love Island.
Love Island, yes. And people expecting me to say things like that, and I'm like, I don't even know what it is. And I'm like, nope, I just like my documentaries. And I'm like, how old I must look in front of people. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, how old are you, Langs? Like,
I love it.
Documentaries.
Yeah, honestly, Netflix and their documentaries are amazing. Yeah, the money that must go into it and the skill is very, very put together well. So
yeah. I know that Andy's friend's friend does documentaries for Netflix, but I don't know much about her. I literally met her once very briefly, so I can't wait. I need to find out more about what actually she's doing and how it works and things like that, because that must be so fascinating, no?
Yeah. That would be very
good. Get her on the podcast as well, and then I'll let you know. Amazing. Right, my lovely. So now, can you tell the listeners as well where to find you? Because I'm sure that some people will definitely want to find out more about you and connect with you. So where can you find you?
Definitely. So if you just want to watch the content that I create, you can go onto TikTok and Instagram. So that's where I make free content. I do have a Facebook group as well, but you don't have to go in there if you don't want to. But pretty much if you go onto, I'll send you all the links for you to put in, but if you search outsourcing your property business or outsourcing your property biz, BIZ, then it normally comes up, and yeah, so that's what I have there. And I will also be writing for a magazine. So I just finished my first article yesterday, so that'll be coming out in a popular property magazine. So you'll be able to see some more content in there as well. So yes,
I can find you everywhere.
Yeah,
Is that everywhere. The one?
No.
Right. Okay. You're gonna send me the links.
Yeah, I'll send you the links. Yeah.
You're gonna send me the links. Send me the links. Send me everything. I'll add it. I'll pop it up there
My
on.
face is everywhere. So if you see my face, it's mine. Yeah.
Good. You got a beautiful face. It has to be part of your brand. Right, my lovely. Is there anything you would like to add before we log off?
I think, I think we've covered quite a few things. I just think, property can be quite lonely. It can be quite a lot of work. And, I think people, if you just use the communities and use the information, you can really, grow and achieve your goals. And, if you want to step it up and go into people's programs or mentorships or whatever there is, that's good as well. But don't just sit there and, sit in your office and beaver away for a year. Come out and talk to people and let people know, you can message me with what you're struggling with, and I probably talk about it on my podcast. I just hate to think, that somebody is where I was struggling to, run a business, keep all the money coming in, keep that all afloat and grow as well. It's quite a lot. So yeah, I don't want anyone struggling. So make sure that you reach out.
That's such a beautiful way of saying it.
Thanks.
Really
It's tough, isn't it, sometimes?
And as you said, it can be very lonely as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why one of the reasons why I love doing my podcast as well is like, once a month, sit down with someone, have a nice chat.
Yeah, definitely.
It's wonderful. Well, Latoya, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I really enjoyed having you, and I'm sure that the listeners will find tons of golden nuggets in this episode. Your story is very inspiring, so thank you very much for sharing your story with us. And as I said, I'll let you know when the property goes live. And yeah, if you send me the link, then I can just pop it on the comments, and for the YouTube, I'll pop it on the screen so people can see it and link up with you. So yeah, thank you very much again. And I'm wishing you all the luck and all the success in the world.
Thank you very much.
Have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you so much again. Bye, Latoya.
Bye.